We're going to look first at the quiz in the multiple choice pre-quiz. And the first question is using Westlaw for the following question. And when it asks for us to go from one jurisdiction in Washington and we're looking for California cases, that reminds me in Westlaw that I can use key numbers to look for additional cases jurisdictionally. So I'm going to look up my case of Hurley, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at the headnotes, and from those headnotes I'll go to the key numbers. Here I am on Hurley. I can scroll down and look at the headnote topics. Here is one on negligence, but what I'm really looking for is that strict liability and the question of law. And so I'm looking at headnote 2. If I were to look at these cases under headnote 2, I'm likely to get Washington cases because I'm in a Washington case right now. These are cases that have cited this specific headnote. What I want are these key numbers over here. So I'm looking at 272, key number 1699, dangerous situations and substances, strict liability. That is the key number I'm going to use. On your computer, you might see the key numbers above the headnote right here. So I'll select 272, key number 1699. Remember, when it comes in, it's going to be in the jurisdiction of the case I was just in. Right here is where I'm going to change that jurisdiction. You can't change it up here. That won't change the key numbers. So you need to make the change right here. I'm going to change it from Washington to California. A lot of times I'll change it to all states, all federal when I get here, and then use the jurisdiction button. But since we've been told California has cases available, we're going to go ahead and look at that. Then I can come over here and look at jurisdiction, expand California, and I see that there are 3 Supreme Court cases. The next question is a Lexis-only question, and what I'm looking at is using Lexis topics, find the case that is the most cited in trade secrets law's protection of absolute and relative secrecy. The tool that I'm going to use to find that is RavelView from topics. And so I'm going to look for the most cited, and to do that, I'm going to look for the largest circle in RavelView. So let's go ahead and look. I'm in Lexis topics, trade secret laws, protection of secrecy, and then absolute and relative secrecy. RavelView will be over here, the circle with the spokes. I might already be in full view or the title view. So I want to switch over to RavelView, and I'm looking for the largest circle. This is the largest circle, Kiwani v. Bikron. If you are in the morning class, Kiwani v. Bikron was not the largest circle. We had 6 additional cases added to this in between the morning and the afternoon class. It used to be that Gates was the largest one, but now it is Kiwani. So do pay attention and go back over your research when you're looking for things like this. So now it is Kiwani. The next question is, which of the following will return spellings for the word color and color? This first one with just one question mark, that only allows for one space. So the UR would not come in. That's why we need 2 question marks. Question marks mean a space for every single letter that's possible. So you could put 8 in here if you're expecting some word that starts COL and ends R, but you need to have a question mark for every possible space. The asterisk, you only need 1 asterisk for as many letters as can be that. Remember, the asterisk can be used in the middle of the word or at the end to mean any additional letters afterwards. The hashtag is not used here. Remember, the hashtag is used at the beginning of a word to indicate that you want this exact word. And then again, the exclamation point in the middle of the word, it is not one of the tools you can use in the middle of the word. The exclamation point always goes at the end of the word to change any of the endings that you would like. So our answers are 2 question marks and 1 asterisk. The next question is, if you search for joint plus 5 liable with an exclamation point, which of the following phrases would not be returned? So first we need to look at it and what are we expecting? We're expecting the word joint to be first because of the plus. And then within 5 words after the word joint, we need to find something that has the word libel, right? So those are what we're looking for. So after several drinks at the bar, the gin joint, there's our word joint, and it's first. She was libel. 1, 2, this is the third word. So we would get this result back. The next one, the liability, joint is not before the word libel, so unlikely. So let's see, the liability for damages is joint and several. There isn't another libel word here, so we know that this is one of our answers. This would not be returned from our search. Due to joint and several liability, joint, several liability, that's what we're expecting to see. This is a good one. The joint liability, again, good. First word joint, second word liability. Then this final one, she is jointly responsible for the damages and is liable. So joint is first, right? But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the 7th word. So again, you're not going to have, this will not be returned. Which 2 are the following describe when it is appropriate to consult the citator feature? Remember, the citator is what you use to update, so key cite and shepherds. So not when you're initially analyzing the prompt, right? You don't really care about the citator then. When reviewing a secondary source, no, prior to determining whether the case is relevant to your research question. So if you're just seeing a case and you don't even know if you're going to use it, it's not worth the extra trouble to go and see, is this still good law? I mean, imagine if you have 20 results back, that would take a really long time. After determining that the case is both on point and mandatory law, yes, now is the time to take the time to update your case. At the conclusion of your research process, when you've determined that the authorities will be included in your work product, yes, again, the very last thing you want to do is make sure everything is still good law right before you turn it in. And then that final one, when you only have the popular name of the statute, not what we're talking about here, right? All right, and then use in re estate of Mattei to answer the following 2 questions. What judicial opinion is considered most critical of the opinion in Mattei? So when I look at this, I know that I'm updating. So I'm going to use an updating tool. I can use either key cite or I can use shepherds. So I'm going to take the cite and I'm going to look at them. Here I am in re Mattei's estate. I see there's a red flag, but I also notice that there's only 1 negative treatment case. So whatever this case is will be the case that has the most negative treatment. So it is the matter of estate of Garland. So I know right away that that will be my answer to the first question. The second question is, true or false, you may still rely on the opinion in Mattei for the descent and distribution rule of a joint tenancy deed after the killing of one joint tenant by another under MCA 72-2-104. So it's talking about a statute, it's talking about what's going on with the one joint tenant. So what am I going to do? So I can come to the negative treatment and I can read why this is negative, right? And one of the ways I can do that is go into matter of estate of Garland, but I can also read here. The effect of the defendant's killer's interest identical to the mandated under the predecessor statute. So already I'm seeing predecessor statute. That's telling me something else has happened to 72-104. So I can go ahead and go in. So we conclude that where a joint tenant kills another joint tenant, the plain language of this effectuates a severance of both the descendant and the killer's interests. So we know that this new statute is what we're going to go off of. So when we look at the question, true or false, you may still rely on the opinion, false. So this is exactly what that case was overturned on, or overruled on. So those are the questions, and that is how, if you have a similar question on the quiz, you should go about looking for answers.